Okay, it's day 64, part 3. This Usman Ashraf here in Indiana is a great doctor. He shares a name with somebody who is Musa Networks. We talked about Musa Networks in the last film. Is this great doctor here the same guy as the Musa guy working that corridor, that drug corridor? No. Usman Ashraf's identity has been stolen here. These are great Muslim doctors. I've been actually here to Avon. I stood in front of the center there. I stood in front of the Islamic Center there, and I know how they do it. This Usman Ashraf has been to the Islamic Center, I can guarantee you. I bet you he's been there a lot. And in that Islamic Center, there's one or two people, usually a mullah, that interview him, ask him about his family, ask him about how can we help the family, all very nice questions, all giving away his identity to be used by bad actors in Pakistan. Now, if I was Usman, I could basically, with his identity, if I printed him a passport, if I had access to the passport printing center in Kingston, Virginia, I could print Usman's passport. Then all I need to do is get Usman to the border from Pakistan, the bad Usman, and I could use this man. Because I could bring him into Brownsville, Texas, or Brownsburg, excuse me. I could bring him into Houston, let's say, where he was the bad actor, Usman is, right, who gets evicted here. And I fly him back to Pakistan with a fake passport. Now he's got a validated passport, DHS validated passport. The real Usman, the man who's being used, doesn't know that. DHS doesn't know that. If you don't look carefully at the picture, nobody knows that. If this is before identity and thumbprint. If the real Usman hasn't filed, the doctor hasn't filed for a passport yet, you're on your way. You just have to make sure if the real Usman ever does ask for a passport, you have to match. You have to hack the file and you have to match the fingerprint. So I believe it's the thumbprint. I don't think they're going to the eye yet. But that is what's happening here. And guess what? The bad Usman has a problem in Texas. He then ends up going to Sugarland. Well, what's in Sugarland? We don't know. But see if he has his pilot's license. And then the real Usman now, the records are mixed together, right? The real Usman buys a nice house in Avon, Indiana. He's an up-and-coming doctor. He's a great man. But what's very close? What's very close to Usman? The Islamic Center, the Islamic Society of North America. Of course, I went there. We'll play a little clip. Part 3, here we are in Plainfield, Indiana, at the Islamic Society of North America. This is the place where the Christian Action Network says that this is terrorist HQ for the United States of America. I'll pull it out of Zoom here. So it's based on a bunch of reporting, like 50 volunteers and people compiling all kinds of information. And there's like 5 super reporters that were on this project. And then they had several law enforcement people that went into kind of the mosque parking. Oops, sorry, straight ahead. They had several mosque folks. So, and all I'll say at this point is, it's not the mosque, it's not the legitimate mosque, but over here, I think I even made a video about it. The next video is where the camp. On my way out of the Islamic Center of North America here in Plainville, Indiana, it's only about 6 miles from the Indianapolis airport, which is convenient. I noticed the gate over there. You can't really see it here. I'll try to zoom in, but there's kind of this locked gate. And this is exactly what these researchers at Christian Action Network described. It was this kind of farm, kind of like the farm in out west of Washington, D.C., where the CIA trains, kind of like a Quantico or I think Quantico is where they train, both FBI now and the CIA, because of counterterrorism division added all that. Weapons training, climbing, hand-to-hand combat, strangulation, all that stuff, silent murder. So, yeah, I don't know what it is back there. We'll see. So that's where I think this story comes together, and I think I even go to the Islamic Center where the doctors are getting duped. And I was at Purdue the day before, in front of the dorm, saying, "Hey, I think this is where the doctors are being duped."
Okay, I'm here in Delphi, Indiana. These are the two girls that were killed. I believe this is going to be Libby German. I believe that's Abby Williams. That's a picture of the suspect. And I'll tell you why I'm here. It's not because of anything other than metadata. To me, he looked like a finder. Somehow I don't think he by himself on this railroad bridge was able to trap both of these girls. One's 14, I think Libby was 14. I think she was 13. The metadata that disturbs me about this case is that the parents weren't allowed to speak publicly until just now. This happened on Valentine's Day, or the day before Valentine's Day. And what's odd about that is it's almost 2.5 months later now that the parents are finally speaking. And that, to me, in metadata terms, that immediately put my interest on this case. I'll pan around here a little bit and show you this little town here of 3,000 people. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful little town, old, you know.
Now, I had 6 or 7 people in the town come up. So I went to this little bar here and had a couple of glasses of wine, and 6 or 7 people came up with all these stories about this packing plant, this meat packing plant, and all the people out there who were being brought in surreptitiously. And the first thing I thought of is, hey, this is easy. You have a job at the meat packing plant, which, you know, if you ever have a CIA death, it's better than undertaking, right? You just throw them in the grinder, and then you stay out at the Islamic Center. You stay out at the Islamic Center. It's a great way to have a zero footprint. It's a great way to have a zero footprint in a little small town where it doesn't get a lot of media attention and etc. And people come and go, and there's just not a big chance of being intercepted. And people in the town, there's very few people, and they all kind of know each other, but it's kind of two different groups since they speak a different language. So I think I go to
Muslim dormitory, if you will, and this is kind of a men's Muslim dormitory, Islamic mosque slash dormitory. And, you know, this Purdue, if you're not familiar with it, is kind of like the MIT of the Midwest. It's probably one of the most outstanding science and math and medical prep programs in the country. So you don't get in here, and you can see the fraternity row here. You don't get in here unless you're a damn good student, and chances are you're going to be going on to a Ivy League program or something like that if you graduate from Purdue with high marks here. Now, these are going to be the great doctors and veterinarians of our future, as well as other sciences, scientists and so forth in the drug business and so forth. So what I don't want to say is these aren't great kids. And if I'm a CIA agent in Indianapolis and I want to infiltrate the U.S., these aren't going to be the kids I take over to Delphi to do some ritualistic murder to compromise them. I'm going to compromise them with some beautiful girls at a party here that are too young. I'm not going to compromise them with a murder situation. If I'm trying to come up with a Gladio C program for the United States, Gladio program was using the Catholic Church basically to infiltrate Eastern Europe. Gladio B was using the Muslim population to infiltrate Central Asia, to break down the Soviet Union. Gladio C is the attack on the U.S., or basically it's just a protection of rat lines. Gladio C is a protection of rat lines in the U.S. I'm not going to use kids like this. These are great kids. These are the kids that end up in the Delphi packing plant, Indiana Packers. Those are the kids that I'm going to go after to protect rat lines, that I'm going to have Garrett women and have a initiation rite to make sure that everybody's compromised in the first day that they join the rat line. And
that's it right there. I think I've got it, which is I'm going to steal the identities of these kids in order to get my rat liners in.